Hey guys, it's Jack from casinoincomeacademy.com, and this is one of those quick coffee and casino type chat videos that I've been doing over the last couple of years. So this one's going to be pretty interesting. It's not about a strategy. It's not about buying any type of a course or any type of money management, so to speak, or a specific game. It's something that I think I've never really talked about, but so much of what I do is directly related to this subject. So in the early 2000s, I was building my law firm at that point. And as always throughout my life, I was always interested in trading, in investments, and anything to do with kind of being that entrepreneurial spirit. Even though I was knee deep in building the law firm, it just wasn't enough for me. It wasn't creative enough. And my biggest problem in life was that even though I went to law school, I did not have a burning desire or affinity strictly for practicing law. It was always about something more creative, something that I could build. Well, at that point, it was before crypto. So you have to understand everybody's focus, if you were involved in trading, was day trading was a hot concept. The stock market, options trading, these were, and the futures market. And everything that I did at that point was based on gaining and seeking knowledge. I read every book. There was no internet really to speak of. The internet was not anything really that crazy. There wasn't a lot of information. YouTube, there just wasn't a lot out there like we have today. And I was told about this best-selling book by an author called Wade Cook, and it was called The Money Machine. And I found the book at Barnes & Noble. It was a bestseller. It wasn't a gigantic book like some of these other books that I had read on the stock market. But that single book and the path that it led me down changed my life forever. And Wade Cook is not with us anymore, the author of the book. And I spend a lot of money on Wade Cook seminars, books, video, VHS tapes, how do you like that? CDs, anything I could get my hands on that he was doing was worth its weight in gold to me. And you may ask me, well, what was it about Wade Cook? What was it about the Money Machine that was such a big deal? And I'm going to tell you what it was. And, it comes back to me all the time when I do the casino stuff and I have students for these private coaching sessions. And you guys know how much I talk about 85-90% being proper money management and discipline and having the right way of handling progressions, what to do when we're losing, as opposed to just talking about how much money we're making, which I don't think really is the important factor. I think when you flip a coin and you say it's going to be heads and it's heads, I don't really think that that's what we should be talking about. I think what we need to be talking about with casino income is what to do when we say it's going to be heads and it's tails. And that's really where the secret sauce is. So in the Money Machine, and throughout Wade Cook's books and tapes and lectures and seminars, there's a core element. So Wade Cook at some point, before he became more of a teacher and instructor for this stuff, was in between, I guess, jobs or whatever it may have been, and he was driving a cab for a living. And what he noticed was that everybody was fighting for the cab rides from the airport, these long cab rides, basically. And there was a huge amount of competition for these long cab rides. So you wouldn't have enough people because there were way too many cabs. But he invented something called the meter drop method. And what he learned by doing the cabs, by being a cab driver, was that the cab drivers were not interested in the short cab rides because they weren't going to make as much money as the long ones. Well, due to the fact that so many people were not interested, other cab drivers, in the short rides, they were very easy to get. So while people were waiting for the lottery ticket cab rides, the bigger trips, he was able to take 2 people, 3 people, 4 people across the street, down the block, a few miles away, and continue for the meter to keep dropping and dropping and dropping and dropping, even though he wasn't making the same amount of money as the longer rides. And it dawned on him that in his other profession, when he started doing Wall Street trading, that it was very similar. The light bulb moment went off that instead of waiting for years and years for a stock to take off and be a lottery ticket, he was willing to accept small returns over and over and over again. And by doing that, he was taking advantage of taking the captured units off the board and having more money for the next trade. And it was the same thing that he was doing with his cab rides. And this one philosophy, this one point, led him to utilizing that type of a money management system going forward. So he would possibly do bigger trades but accept smaller profits. So the moral of the story is, and what I've taken from that my whole life after that into the trading sphere, into stock market trading, into Forex trading, into the futures trading and options, was that if you could build up your capital and make bigger trades, but put your foot in the water for less period of time and grab the profit and start over again and start that meter drop again, that was the best way to efficiently build small money into large money. And what we do here and what I preach from Casino Income Academy still goes back to those Wade Cook lessons. And I think every one of us can learn so much from Wade Cook. You can still buy the book, The Money Machine, and he had multiple books after that. You can get it on Amazon for a few dollars. You can get it in any used bookstore, okay? And it's so worth the read, not just because of the trading stuff that's in there, but because of the mentality. That mentality has taken me so far in so many other places. So to translate it into what we do here with the casino income business, and to go back and look at Wade's viewpoint, it's kind of what I preach all the time. You know, first of all, the first lesson is you're taught completely wrong by these other YouTubers that are telling you that you should be looking to make 25, 30, 40% every time you walk into the casino. Well, that's a complete fallacy. And they just don't have the Wade Cook mentality. Where they come up with these numbers of making 25 and 30% a session is, I hate to use the term, but they're pulling it out of their you-know-what. And they continue to preach this nonsense because they don't know any better, okay? They are basically forcing the issue in a game that has a house edge. So they're instead of locking up their profits and moving on, they continue to press and press and press and press. And when they end up giving it all back, which happens to most people in the casino, they blame the casino. And they say, well, these games you can't win at these games. There's a house edge. And that's what you hear from these people. And the reality is it's because you are playing them the wrong way. Your mentality is completely wrong. And that mentality is exactly why so many people lose. but they don't realize why they're losing, and they don't want to blame it on themselves. So the only thing they can do is blame it on the casino, blame it on the game, blame it on the house edge. It's completely ridiculous. Completely ridiculous. A year ago, I did a video that went viral where I explained to people a mind-blowing concept that if they walked in, and I don't care how much money, if they walked in the casino, I don't care what game they played, right? Any table game. And the minute they were up $1 or more, they quit. And they left the casino. They cashed in. What do you think would happen to the number? We know that over 90-something% of the people just blow all their money when they walk in. What if everybody that walked into the casino that day said, I'm going to play blackjack or roulette or whatever it is, and the minute I'm up 1 unit, I'm going to cash in and I'm going to leave? What do you think that percentage would be for that day of the people walking in the casino? Do you think it would still be 90-something% of the people leaving with less money than they started with? No. No. So if you take that mentality and you think about Wade Cook's meter drop, what are we talking about? We're talking about understanding the pressure point, understanding and evaluating how many units profit is the safety zone. That's what we're talking about, right? So when you hear these people say that they're walking in with $500 and they're looking to make $125 on their $500. That's not the meter drop. That's not Wade Cook's method. If you're walking in the casino with $500, you shouldn't be looking for a $125 profit. That's not how to safely build your bankroll. That's lottery ticket. That's not the method. That's gambling. If you want to do that, go right ahead. I'm not telling anybody what to do with their money. But if you really want to take it seriously, you need to use some method of the Wade Cook concept. And that's what we teach. That's why when you see me do these math videos and you go, what are you talking about, Jack? You're only looking at making 1% a day, 2% a day. And then when I show you the math after 2 months and 6 months and a year, you go, oh my God, wow, how did that happen? It happened because we're sticking our foot in the water, using the best strategies we can that are based on probability. We're using the best money management we can, and then we're pulling ourselves completely out and walking away with the profit. That's the meter drop, because we can do it over and over again. Think about how many times you tested a strategy. But now go back, instead of playing it for an hour and telling me that you lost at the end of an hour or 20 minutes or 30 minutes, think about how many times, if you had the right strategy, the right money management, and you had the discipline to quit when you were up a certain percentage or a certain amount of units that was reasonable. So instead of playing that baccarat shoe and going up 3, 4, 5 units instantly, and then continuing to play the baccarat shoe where you give it all back, you go negative, you go up 1, you go up 5, you give it all back, you come back again, and you hope and pray that at the end of the shoe, for some reason, you're up. How many times were you up in that shoe? Why did you keep playing? What were you looking to accomplish? Were you looking to turn your $1,000 into $10,000 in that single shoe? That's not the meter drop. So the lesson learned from Wade Cook is that small profits and a system that can be repeated over and over again is the success story. That's what the casino doesn't want you to understand. They want you to sit down and play and play and play and play. because they know that time is on their side. You need to take the time back. That's what the meter drop does. We give you the tools, the concepts, and the money management to be able to give yourself the best chance of quitting with a profit and having the ability to repeat that same process over and over again, because that's what successful people do. They don't make decisions on the fly. They don't make the business decisions in the middle of a baccarat shoe. They don't say, let's push for an extra $100 when you already are up so much more than you even should have been sitting there, and then wonder why you gave it all back. So this is my love letter to Wade Cook. Wade Cook's lessons have come with me throughout my entire life since that point, in regards to the casino, to life, to trading, to finances, and everything else. So if you can learn from Wade Cook the meter drop method and have a repeatable strategy and the discipline to walk away with profit, no matter what that profit is, then you do already have the capability to use what we're teaching you in these courses, in these private courses, and in the private coaching, to build from a small bankroll methodically to a bigger bankroll and grow the size of your trade, which in this case is your base bets, is your betting, your base bet. Growing it from, let's say, $10 base bet to 50, to 100, to 250 if you wanted to. It's all done methodically, systematically, with a game plan and an approach that's written down that we can help you build, that makes sense logically, mathematically. That's the way that you win in life, in finance, and in the casino. So I hope that you guys have learned something from this. And I love the fact that I've been able to bring up somebody that's meant a lot to me in my life and my education. And if you're interested more in him, you can buy the book, The Money Machine. You can buy it anywhere. And if you are interested in it, you can buy his other books. Wade passed away in 2021 from cancer. And there's a lot more to Wade Cook's story that mirrors my own. Wade Cook, unfortunately, came along and was a pioneer explaining to people and pulling back the curtain on things that weren't supposed to be told. Back then, you were still supposed to go to a financial advisor. They had magic that they could do that you weren't able to learn how to do as a retail trader. They knew how to do options trading that you couldn't learn on your own. They knew how to use leverage, but you were not supposed to learn how to do that. You were supposed to follow whatever your advisor told you to do, or your broker, and be happy with it. So Wade Cook taught strategies and methods that really bumped up against what the mainstream wanted people to know, and put the power back in the hands of the people instead of in these gurus and advisors, financial advisors, that were never going to explain anything to you. And they didn't like that. So eventually, all the good that Wade was doing, thousands of people will tell you the story that I told you about how he changed their life, about how he opened the door to looking at trading in a different way. Unfortunately, when you ruffle the wrong feathers, and believe me, I understand this very much as an attorney, because I went through something very similar. So not only do I look at Wade Cook as a mentor, but I can tell you that we both went through some of the same things. Wade Cook was destroyed by the government and the FTC. They came after him with a vengeance. Not because anybody ever complained about what Wade Cook was teaching, the people that were actually paying for his books and his lessons. But somewhere below the surface, mainstream Wall Street didn't want him to continue telling his story and teaching the people what he was teaching them. And believe me, they went after him with a vengeance. And it was brutal. I understand that. I was the first attorney in the United States to focus on helping people fight against the abuses in the credit reporting industry. The credit reports, I was the first attorney to do that in 1992-93. And I had the same thing happen. I stood up for people. I was basically the Robin Hood in that industry. And it was just little me against the $3 billion credit reporting companies. And believe me, when this happened to Wade Cook, I couldn't sleep at night because I understood exactly what was going on. So, thank you to Wade Cook. Thank you for teaching me what you did and for going through what you had to do. It's unfortunate, but sometimes when you're a trailblazer and you're standing up for people, you put a target on your back. I understand that. So that's it for right now. The meter drop method, small profits consistently over time. We'll see you on the next video, guys. Take it easy.